We'll call the meeting to order for the May 13th, 2024 Williamstown Select Board meeting. First item is to set the agenda. There was a Select Board warrant added, SB 22098 was on the agenda. And the road foreman has a presentation of a piece of equipment he'd like to get. So we're going to put him under new business, first item on the new business. And I think that's it for as I said. The board members are ready to add. Is the agenda is amended?
Make a motion to accept it as amended. Second.
First thing, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is comments. There's a sheet up back here, the meeting sheet that tells how the meetings run, if anybody's interested in looking at it. Any select board announcements? Announcements?
I'm on vacation next week, so just like that. Susan will be in the office.
Ellen?
Yeah, I just want to know why there's no place on this agenda for people to speak. You know, I was told that I couldn't talk until way down the line, if anybody, about any questions you have, and I was to wait till then. There's no place on this that says public comments or whatever you want to call it.
Public announcements is the next item.
Is that this item? This is not an announcement. I want to ask a question. Is it the same thing?
Public announcement, Ellen? Ellen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to ask Jackie, last month when we were here, you said the money would be in 2 weeks. We still haven't received any money.
There will be $16,827.92 in the office by the beginning of next week.
Okay.
The checks have been cut. I talked to him today.
Okay, thank you.
The county EMS report, is someone here for that?
No, not tonight. No.
Squad update?
So I just thought it was in the last month since we left the house, we've had 12 calls. Those 12, we've only not been able to go to 2 of them. One was not founded by Berrytown anyway, so there was no patient contact by them. And the other one was not the first week we were getting going. Otherwise, we've made every call that we've been told to. Mostly with assists, the Berrytown has called us to a couple CPR assists. We've had a couple issues with dispatch that we're still working out the kinks that we've gotten told to when the ambulance was sitting here and we canceled ourselves and didn't respond to those ones. Those things that we're still working out, but I'll let you know we've had 12 calls in a month, 10 of which we've responded to.
It's working well.
So far.
Things work out, you all set? Thank you. Anything else on the fast squad? Commissions, committees, trustees, and other board announcements. SB 22094, SB 22095, 22096, 22097, and 22098. Motion on that.
Second that.
Motion second, any discussion?
Just a question on 22094, looking at the money from the major repairs fund. Where does that money come from?
For the down payment to Brookie, it came out of the equipment, the fire departments.
The major repairs?
Yeah.
Payroll warrants for 4/21 and 5/24. There's a motion on that. Yeah, second.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, next item is approve the select board meeting minutes of 4/8/24. Have a motion on that?
So moved.
Motion made second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That is the town manager report, Jackie.
Delinquent taxes as of today are at $95,747.57. Water's at $7,179.54, and sewer's at $10,533.13. Tax sales will be May 24th at 10 o'clock. We still have 6 remaining on the list. Potentially, we have one that was supposed to come in today to pay, but she'll probably be in tomorrow. We'll be sending out another survey with the water and sewer bills this month for data that's still missing for the inventory, the line inventory project that's being done. The new generator will be installed up at the tower, the end of May. The electrical has all been installed, so that will be completed by the end of the month. The second grader is here and has been out on the roads. We're currently resurfacing Falls Bridge with the base coat. I'm happy to announce that we've been approved for our Falls Bridge paving grant. I received the notice from Michelle on the 3rd of May. So the paving can proceed after July 1 of this year. So
How much do you get?
175. So as soon as that's been executed and I have the grant back in hand, we can start after July 1. All my places highlighted here. I'll be giving a FEMA update later on. The insurance claim for the library, like I said earlier, at $16,827.92 has been approved for that. The check will be here for them the beginning of next week. And that's it until we get down into the other lists in the new business.
Anyone have any questions for Jackie?
I do. Did Pikes think they were going to be able to fit us in somewhere around July 1?
Yeah, they've got us scheduled for, they knew that we had to postpone it, so they'll have us scheduled after July 1.
How's the fire truck refurb? I heard something about.
That's under old business.
Gotcha.
As far as where can we see a list of you said there's 6 properties up for tax sale?
Yes.
Where can we see an updated list on that?
They're on the bulletin board in the town office. I can tell you the locations if you want. There's an unlanded mobile home sitting on a piece of property. They're both. That's 2 of the tax sales on McGlynn Road. Brandy Todd's property on Beckett Street.
Yep.
Ed Joyle's property on Grandview, out past LaSalle's. Leslie Farnham's across from the elementary school.
Yep.
Should be all of them, right? 2, 4. And Cataracts, which she's supposed to be coming in to pay tomorrow on Pleasant Street. You're welcome.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
Oh, that's okay.
You're all set? Okay, I see Dave's here now from Berrytown EMS. You want to do your report?
Sure. Sorry, I missed you last month. We were dealing with the eclipse, so a little busy. So for March, We had 46 calls from the town of Williamstown, or what Williamstown ended up covered previously at the highway and whatnot. Our average response time of call to ambulance on scene was 8 minutes and 8 seconds for the month of March, and 5 of those 46 responses came from our other stations. In the month of April, we had a little busier, a little uptick, 53 calls. Down. 6 of those responses came from other stations, and our average response time was just over 9 minutes. So it's been a little busier. It comes in relatively in that. Still on pace to do over 600 calls in the catchment area. The task force Marie's going to tell you is up and running. We've had, I'm not sure quite how many, 12 responses since they've been up and running. We've had a few simultaneous calls, around town, some significant ones, and then not so significant one will happen during the same time, so we can redirect resources. But overall, it's been pretty busy. Things are going well. Questions for me?
Edwards, how things are going?
Great. Yeah, been busy. Things are going well. I happen to be on the truck recently, so made a few calls, and the reception is great.
Do you have any questions for Dave? You're all set? Thank you for coming in here. Okay, we'll go on to new business. Road foreman has a presentation he wants to do on road roller.
Hey, you guys have a picture up there? I'm looking all the time to improve our roads. How long they'll hold up when grading them. Everything points into a roller of some sort. They make a roller, it goes on the back of the grader, which I'm sure you guys have heard about. East Montpelier has one. I actually went over and saw it work. It works. It does well at compacting the road behind the grader after it grades. Couple downfalls to it. It doesn't articulate when you go around corners. If you have a sharp corner, it tends to dig, and you're compacting the road before you get the chloride on it. At the municipal truck show in Barrie last week, there's a company out of New Hampshire that's developed a roller that mounts to the front of a plow truck, 6-wheeler dump truck. Uses the same plow frame setup as plows. The one that I have pictured here it's a 5,000-pound roller full of water. It's being set up so that it will have a spray bar on the front of it. So like we have a truck over here with a chloride tank in it, and we go out to chloride the roads. You'd be able to chloride the road after the grader went through and then roll it at the same time with one unit. This unit here, I'm looking at a heavier duty one. This one's only 5,000 pounds. Looking at possibly one that weighs a little bit more than that. So I don't have pricing on that. But this unit here, all set up to go, is $15,000. The roller that goes on the back of the grader is $50,000. So I'm asking the select board if this is something that we can look into. With this matter, we all know that once you grade the roads, you chloride them, you compact them, they're gonna last through the summer longer than just grading them and chloriding them, or even raking them. That's the situation with this here. These guys up there all have a picture of it. I have a picture here if anybody wants to look at it. But it's going to improve our dirt roads through the summer, especially with the rain that we get. Right now, we can grade 2 miles of dirt roads a day on a good day. We get 2 good days a week, and then it rains. And the rain just pounds the potholes right back in. Compact. The other thing that I wanted to talk to the select board about was we need to be looking at, as the town grows, it has grown and is growing. We have two 10-wheelers right now. One of our 10-wheelers is 10 years old, and it's not in bad shape, so we don't have to replace it today. But right now, if you order a truck, it's 18 months to 2 years to get it. The small truck that we use to plow the smaller roads is a 2018 5500 Dodge with a straight blade plow on it. The plow and the sander that goes in the back of it are both 10 years old and they're wore out. They're going to need replacing. The truck is really too small for the roads now. It was fine when it was purchased. They were doing Hulbert Road, Farnham Road, the smaller roads with it, but now our routes have grown. We're doing, bigger roads with it. So we're looking at either buying a 10-wheeler or buying next size up small truck with a wing on it to plow the side roads that we plow. And you're looking at, $260,000 for a 10-wheeler or $160,000 for a smaller one. And we need to start thinking about that because, like I said, it's 2 years to get a truck. That's buying the cab and the chassis and then having it set up with the dump and the plow frame and the wing and all that.
So, most thing, you just want us to be thinking about it.
Yeah.
When would that heavier roll be available,
He did get back to me today. I didn't have time to actually sit down and spend a lot of time on it because I was busy on Fallsbridge Road. But it sounded to me at the truck show like it was something that they could start building. They just haven't built it yet. They built one for down south somewhere, so they know what they're doing. They just have to figure out a way to move it closer to the truck because of the weight difference between the two. And it didn't seem like it would be an issue. This one is mounted on a regular bike and plow frame for a regular plow, so it sticks out the front as far as a snowplow does. And they were talking that they're building their own framework that'll attach to the plow frame on the front of the truck. It moves the plow closer to the front of the truck, so you don't have all that weight hanging out on the front of the truck.
The plows themselves,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
That's like 5,000 or 6,000 pounds.
They probably weigh 3. If you get up 8 to 10,000 pounds, you don't want it out there 8 feet. But if they can move it closer to the truck, it would be fine, which is what they're doing.
It'd be a lot better.
Yeah. And it's set up with the hydraulics, so it runs right off the plow frame of the dump truck. So you don't have to add controls or anything. The only thing that they have to add is a chloride line from the back of the chloride tank on the back of the truck up to the front, hook to the spray bar. All the rest of it's there.
Question on that, I don't think it's a bad idea, Dave. I would appreciate to get an exact price for the unit shown. And if they built one, they have a general idea of what it costs to build one,
Yeah.
the bigger one. Have them spec it out with the chlorine on the front, watering system, whatever, and bring that back.
Well, that's what I was looking at. I wanted to get your feeling on whether I should even spend, because I don't have time to spend a lot of time on a lot of this stuff. If it's something that you're like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, I don't want to go any further. But if you think it's something, I think it's something that would help the town tremendously, I will come back in June with solid numbers and know when it could be done. And
I know from attending better background seminars and different things over the years, like an average, it's travel pretty heavily, say like half the street, something like that. So those roads dry out, loosen up. You can lose up to 2 inches of surface material a year just from dust. When you once you lose the fines and get nothing to bind the stones together, then stones roll off in the ditch. So I think this is a very good idea. And especially when you put the chloride down immediately when the stuff is fresh and you roll that right in, it's going to stay a lot better.
Well, it's on the road anyways with the chloride, so it's just gonna be, with the grader, the one on the grader, the guy's grading and rolling, and then you gotta have a guy behind you with the chloride, and then I think you're defeating the purpose. If you can roll it after you put the chloride down, you're gonna pound the chloride in too.
I think this thing will pay for itself, just lost material erosion because of dusty back. I mean, it's not that they're not gonna get dusty. You ain't gonna have to chloride again, but if you can get that stuff into that material right off immediately, it's more effective that way. So I'm all for it. I don't know, I mean, if you can get some numbers, so they need to get this thing built. Contact Jackie.
Yeah, I'll get some hard numbers on it, and
Most of us, if we generally agree on it. But won't be held up, waiting for another month for another meeting. So, I don't know what's the board's thoughts on it?
Well, you heard mine, I think.
You said the truck, the 5,000 pound was 15,150. Okay.
yeah, the 5,000 pound unit, you're looking at right there is $15,000.
Okay.
That includes the roller and the plow frame with the two angle pistons, because this one here is 10 feet wide. So when you're going down the road, you angle it so it's not so wide. And then when you get, or if you're going around the sharp corner, you can angle it with the truck when you're going around the corner. I think a heavier duty one will probably be a little bit narrower than that. To get 10,000 pounds of weight, you're probably going to narrow it up, which isn't a bad thing, because then your compaction per square inch is going to be, more centered.
If we're not going to get it till October.
Have it for next year.
Well, no, yeah.
That's why I want a whole month to get a chance to get one more. 4 months.
They didn't say how long it took to build it, up there. They give me a time frame as far as, if you ordered it today, you have it 3 weeks, but the way they were talking, I'm assuming that they're geared up to do it in a fairly quick fashion. It's Rob Co. over in, between Woodsville and Littleton. They're a fabrication company.
Got a question, Ben?
Yeah, I just didn't know, Dave, you said, was it East Montpelier? You talked to somebody out there?
Yeah, he's not very, has a very good roller on the back.
Did you find out from them, just with that one, how much of a difference they've seen in compacting?
Oh, wicked. It makes a big difference.
Okay.
I went over and watched it run, and they were grading and rolling, and when the chloride truck went through, you could see the dump truck tracks.
So I guess this is go to work, get some numbers, and let Jackie know she'll forward the board. And I don't get one. I'm guessing probably.
I'm gonna say between 20 and 25 is what I figured, the way they were talking up there for the heavier one. Which, that's not a huge deal. We have the chloride pump on the back of the truck, so it's just a matter of running the hose from the back of the truck to the front, hook it, connecting it to the spray barrel.
Thank you. Okay, item is affordable cruelty dog ordinance update.
No, we don't. Tyler had asked for it to be put on. We discussed it at a previous meeting. And we didn't have any takers at that time, but you do have one letter of interest from Mandy Brugio to be on it, and Sam's actually here. She's interested in being part of the committee.
Yeah, I just want to get an update. Last month I told you that, through the animal welfare, no died because of enemy crossover. Somehow, behind closed doors, breaking rules or something, it came back to life. And past the house, past the center, not sure if the governor's going to sign it or not, probably. What I'll do is, create a division of animal welfare within the public safety division. One, appointed director, for the first 2 months, program for investigating animal cruelty cases, and who's going to do it, how it's going to be done, how many people it's going to take, and also I think it's supposed to look into regulations for rescue. So, I'm going to bring that up and see where that was.
Just thinking out loud, if we should wait until this is in place before we try to do something, or try to follow the same guidelines.
The governor's signs it will be effective July.
Take for them, you think, to get it up and implemented?
No later in the middle of June. Probably the next.
Are they ready for July?
You would know. We would know. I would. Yeah.
What's on the agenda, what you thought?
Yeah, so, I mean, this kind of came from, one of Heidi's Haven's pets was loose. I contacted Jackie because I wanted to make sure it was a legitimate claim. And I feel like, I'm obviously new to the board, but this has been an issue in our town probably since Heidi's Haven has come to the town. I agree with Rodney, and I spoke to Mandy last week because I read an article in 7 Days about this bill in the House. There was an issue up in Charlotte, Vermont, where there was goats that were being neglected, and the one up there, I think Charlotte had a dog catcher, but goats were not covered by the dog catcher. And it sounds like the bill that's been passed by the legislature is kind of getting all the players into one room versus having multiple agencies. I think we should still go forward with it. From what I've read, do you know what the bill is, Rodney? The number? 626. Because the one thing, at least in the article that I read, is it doesn't have a lot of enforcement piece yet. Is that accurate?
That's the first stage of this, is to figure all that out. Back to legislation.
So I think, my thoughts are, having the ordinance committee look with, working essentially side by side this H626, seeing what the state's doing, see where the gaps are with enforcement, and not reinventing the wheel, but, I'll use the example of, what was the lady's name that brought forth the ordinance update to us potentially?
Lori
Lawless, thank you. She had something in that about dog tags. We have that's state law, like not reinventing the wheel. So I think if the ordinance committee looked at H262 or 626 and said, where is the state not meeting what the goals of our town or community are, especially with enforcement, I think that's probably the issue. So that's kind of where I'm at, is not reinventing the wheel, see what the state does. But if it takes 3 years for them to get a law passed, to actually have an enforcement piece, and obviously any enforcement we can do is civil, not criminal. But encouraging people to follow, and talking to Mandy and Bergio, I think that's her last name, yeah, Bergio. I think there's a lot of these in Williamstown. She runs a pet, not necessarily a daycare, but a dog training facility. I've lived here my entire life. I didn't realize how many of these large scale, and when I say quotes, large scale facilities where people are taking care of pets or training pets. I think it's at least something to look into, but not reinventing the wheel. And I would say at this point, Mandy has shown interest, Sam has shown interest, but I would like to say, let's put it out as a post. Because I think historically the committee has been 3 people. Is that correct? 5. So, put it out for next select board meeting, like actually post it and say, please, if you send in your letters of interest, and now it's public. And then we'll have even more information on this H626, because I have not, other than reading that article, I didn't actually know that it was going to get passed.
So, as I said, the first phase of this will be to create a program, figure out who's going to enforce it, how it's all going to work. So, if you want to do an ordinance at a time, that's fine. But if the program decides to do something different, you at least give time. So, that's how it works.
I think I would tend to agree with Rodney. Just, I don't want to see this committee waste their time. And a lot of the stuff could be redundant, I think my personal feeling is I think it would be us to see what the state's going to do, and if that's going to pass, and if it does, where it goes, and that way we're not doing things 2 or 3 times.
One thing we could do, is maybe get the committee formed, so it's ready to go. Figure it out.
We've only got 2 people interested so far, so put it out there for another month. Hopefully we'll get some more people.
That was my main intention. Again, I agree with you. Like, I don't think we should reinvent the wheel. Obviously, the state has a statute, and they're the law of the land. So, but I think just my intent was to try to see if anyone's even interested in the committee to do this. I think this is it's not really close personal. I live nowhere near Casino Road. I've never really seen too many animals abused in this town, but it's definitely a emotional topic. I don't think anyone in this room wants to see an animal hurt, injured. So I think we just want to get ahead of it versus standing back. So I think just trying to form the committee, and even if they're on standby, I think that's, at least we have the players, and then we can go from there. I'm absolutely fine with it. I think that's a great idea.
If nothing else, if we form a committee, some rules that we have to deal with, we could deal with it using what ordinance we have in place now, build something better.
And that's something I spoke to Mandy about, is, that was one of her goals as well, as we do have things on the books already. And I think Courtney was looking at the waste aspect of Heidi's Haven. So that's an ordinance that has nothing to do necessarily with pet. So, utilizing the laws we have at our disposal. And I think that's even what Mandy was talking about, is the committee could also make sure that, if a complaint comes in, are we following our, kind of essentially a quality assurance, quality control measure? Because I think we do have a ticket book now, hopefully.
We do. I have
Okay,
ticket
perfect.
books in my office, and Sam and I both can write tickets. We both have been issued numbers, so.
And that's, I think, a good thing. Like, maybe if we had the committee that kind of oversaw that, saying, okay, we've run out of tickets 6 months ago, and all these things have been happening, they can just kind of be the nudge saying, please order a ticket book. Assuming that wasn't, never issued a ticket in my life. So.
We have these committees, select board on that committee, That's something interesting.
Sure, I can do that.
I think a big thing in town is dog licensing. There are so many dogs out there that have not been licensed with the town office. So, and especially with social media, it seems like there's 15 dogs a day that have, gotten away from their owners, and they're not licensed. So there's no way of, yeah, there's no, and that's a.
They're not more than 10, you can.
It's just that's just a really big thing that we deal with ongoing, with stray dogs. So if there was something that could be done, for that. I mean, other towns they do dog censuses.
And that goes back to the guy that when I sent those letters out a few years ago, he says the day if it shows up to grab my dog, you're going to be seeing a gun in your face. So it's like, okay, we're not going to go there.
So what do? They won't follow the law and license their dog, but they'll threaten to shoot you if you go there doing a dog census. So
They can send cops right to your door if you don't pay your dog license.
I think,
we've done that in other towns.
I got something worse. Fire pizza.
Yeah, you don't have a dog. You can't get away with it. I know a lot of people that have dogs, but it's like, you just can't hey, it's a state law. It's not Williamstown's law, it's a state law.
and I think, talking to Mandy as well, is not necessarily being punitive, but getting out there and doing essentially public education. I think the people that have dogs that want to register their dogs are going to register their dogs, and then there's going to be the middle ground that might forget about it. And if Barb sees them at Hannaford's and says, hey, you haven't licensed your dog, they're probably going to come to the next day to the town clerk, and then there's going to be people adamantly against doing it. And those are the unfortunate people that are going to have police officers come to their door, which I don't think anyone wants. But maybe doing the public education. And, she talked about, and I don't know if this is true, if dog licensing fees do help pay for, like, rabies clinics, things that they don't. So, but maybe that's something the town could do, or, to show, hey, your dog licensing fee actually goes to help stop the spread of rabies, if that's something we want to do down the line, or,
Well, a portion of it goes to the state.
Yeah. So, and maybe that's what the state does with it. Again, this has never been on my radar until I sat at this table, but.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure the fee is going to go up next year because you said that they passed something that.
Well, the governor signs his bill, subject to licenses. Well, $300,000 goes to the award to enforce the investigation. Take that money away from them.
So I think what I would recommend is that we just put out June, put out that we're trying to form a committee and have those letters of interest by June, whatever the second Monday is in June.
8th, I think. I think it is, yeah.
Rodney, you think you have a pretty good idea if the governor's going to sign that by the next board meeting?
By the next board meeting?
Yeah.
Before the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Second time with it.
And the deadline is when?
Start June.
So I think, aside from like the animal cruelty piece that is going on with the legislation, from what I've heard as far as complaints from the neighbors around Casino Road are exactly the rabies information, because we had a recent complaint where they did a statement, where somebody was driving down Casino to go home and like 12 to 15 dogs surrounded his car and he couldn't move forward. And he opened his door and they were all jumping in and he said he could see Sheila like by the pig pen, but she was holding two large dogs and didn't come over. And his concern was that the dogs aren't vaccinated, which isn't a cruelty issue. It's just a health issue or a state law issue. So while she has 23 dogs licensed, but there's more there. So I don't know if we can put into place something like if you're fostering dogs for an organization or you're watching a friend's dog long term, or if you have a dog more than X amount of time, it will be really ridiculously hard financially for her to license, 80 dogs. But if we at least could get paperwork for those dogs, maybe we don't, if you're fostering a dog for a shelter, which is a nice thing, and you don't want to discourage people from doing it, but maybe we could require that they drop off rabies information for the particular dog that's there so that it's not just pinpointing her, that anybody who fosters dogs, the dogs need to be up to date because especially with Sheila, she shows on Facebook dogs running loose a lot, and like this is so-and-so who's up for adoption, etc. So that's technically not her dog, so it's not licensed with the town, but neighbors still need to feel comfortable that that dog has a current rabies. So whether or not she's charged, financially for those dogs as a licensed dog. I mean, I don't even know if you'll have enough tags for the whole group of dogs that are there, but at the very least paperwork that maybe we can keep on file somewhere, and Mandy does foster dogs also, and I think she would be totally game to drop off rabies certificates for the dogs she fosters, just because that is something that's going to come back to bite the town if dogs are running loose and getting in people's cars and jumping up on cars and if he would have reached out, and said, get out of my car and one of them bit him, and it's not vaccinated, that's a huge issue, regardless of whether or not she properly cares for her dogs. They should have a rabies vaccine.
No, I'm looking at my puppy in training. He's not old enough to have his rabies vaccination yet. He's only 9 months old, 9 weeks old. But he has to have that before he can go to puppy training.
Yeah, and I mean, you can make it like 6 months and up, or whatever age range you want to put on.
People that want to train him won't take him unless
no, and it's the law. I mean, state law. I think it's 6 months and up, but it might even be 4 months and up. I think you can do it 4. So it's you have to be able to provide a current rabies so that that guy in that neighborhood was he was pretty he was upset they were jumping all over his car, but he was also worried. He had a dog in his car and he was like, I don't want my dog to contract something if they get in a fight, etc. or whatever.
That's a business.
That's a what?
That's a business she's running up there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I theoretically, yes, that it's a rescue. There is an Act 250 permit on that property, and the game warden has all that information. Yep, because we got an Act 250 permit when I lived there, and it has a maximum of 15 dogs on the property. 15, 1-5.
Maybe,
Yeah.
she has to follow the rules of the permit.
The problem is enforcement. I mean, there's no enforcement. I mean, with the dog that was running loose that I picked up, that was really skinny, and the game warden picked it up for me and took it back to her and said she had 45 days to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, I just messaged him or today and said, I've got a meeting with the select board. What's the status on that? And he's like, I don't know, I haven't been there. So it's, you can tell people they have to do anything, but they.
Well, I could tell you, my experience with Act 250, if there's a violation of that permit, you get a hold of them and they'll be sending an enforcement officer up there to check it out.
They've known for at least 2 months.
Fish and Game or Act 250?
Act 250.
Dan Mason is one of the enforcement officers, correct?
Oh, and I'm on speed dial. I have Susan Bard on speed dial too,
I
so.
mean, she's got, I heard up to 80 dogs up there or something like that.
Like 60 to probably 60. I mean, 100 animals, whether their dogs or not. And we also had to sign something that said we weren't running our dogs through the deer habitat back there. There's a wetland. But she has, a million videos on Facebook and online on that.
Those rules are put in place and they're agreed to in the permit process. If you violate them, she's no different than anyone else that runs business. You need to please follow the permit. But it sounds like she's clearly way beyond that. Maybe that's one of them we can use to, it's out of control. The dog is supposed to be running loose that way.
Well, they're definitely not supposed to be running on the road. I mean, stopping traffic. Right, she has fencing, but they're out of the fencing. So fencing only works if you put the dog in it.
My experience with
Yeah, but it does have it, and we have it, which I can email if you want to see it, Jackie, pass it on. I mean, we have the rules and regulations for that property.
No, it seems like
No, but I do think, even until then, or until anything, that we've got to get the rabies vaccine information up somehow.
sounds like maybe she's actually thought they were doing a favor when get the number of dogs back down where it's supposed to be at least.
Well, and there was, I just looked up a video on our Facebook. There was, I think, 60 dogs in it running. So, which looks like great deal for the dog, but if you happen to be walking down the street.
People think that. I don't know, that many dogs you guys think that's a good
Again, I think that's the thing, and I'm not trying to scapegoat Sheila McGregor and Heidi's Haven. I think they brought up the issue. I think that's the thing, but like Sam just brought up, how many people foster dogs in this community? We're roughly 3,500 people. There's probably a good percentage that might foster a dog for a little while. I know we had family members in Barrytown do it.
Yeah, it's not hard to just grab the rabies certificate and take it.
And I think that's kind of where my avenue is looking for this committee and seeing where the gaps are for, the state law. We are not going to ever supersede state law. I understand that, but if the state doesn't say, hey, fostering, that has nothing to do with it. But I assume Airbnbs and Verbos and all those things, the state is finally kind of catching up to what a lot of communities were doing with a populated area like Stowe and Burlington. I think a lot of those communities were trying to regulate that business. housing, and the state, I think, is starting to try to reel that in. It has nothing to do with dogs, but, you know, so say if you have a foster in the town of Williamstown, no penalty to you, you go walk down to Barb, say this dog is gonna be in my possession for 6 weeks fostering, here's the rabies certificate, and that's kind of what I'm looking for, you know, updating the rules, and it doesn't necessarily need to be punitive, it's just bringing the rules to, you know, if we do have an issue where the state's.
This has been a problem since I've been on this board.
Yeah.
And it was a problem 2 years before I got on this board. And nobody came up with no silver bullets yet.
Yeah.
But I think we might be on something there with that.
I'm just gonna stick with this, I mean, if there's a permit in place, there's consequences, she shouldn't be let get away with it.
So is that Act 250 on file in the land records? Okay.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? We didn't even think of it till like Greg said the other day. My husband was like, or when that happened with the pit bull that we had to give back, he was like, "What about the Act 250?" And everybody, like the game board, we're all like, "What?" We totally forgot that was even there. So, but it stays with the property. I mean, it doesn't move with us.
I mean, I can look at that.
Yeah, it should be there. I mean, it's,
And we're gonna post it for board committee members.
That's all I was to get the word out.
2 more positions, that'll seat to be open for that, right? There's the third person in here, right?
Anybody could apply, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
And I spoke to Mandy, she seemed very knowledgeable, but I told her, you know, talking to her, she has my support at this point, but I think, you know, again, I know nothing about animal rights, I'm not one of those people. When I have a dog, I register it, and that's about as far as I've ever gone. But, you know, I think you need to have the right people in the position to teach me or whoever.
and I think it's, I mean, it has a committee, every city has an animal control committee. I mean, it's just so that if there's like a nuisance dog or a vicious dog or anything, it's just helpful to have people that you can meet and be like, so that also we don't have to keep coming to the select board meetings, you know.
In the past, we've checked with other towns that had dog ordinances and check to see what kind of ordinances they had written up for certain items and kind of pick the best parts of all of them.
I'm totally against, or I'm totally for not reinventing the wheel. If someone's done 90% of the work, let's finish the 10% of the
We've
work.
been in place for 15 years, so at least I think. I mean, things need to be updated. Nothing else, nothing. Okay, I'll settle there. FEMA funding update, July flooding, December flooding, Jackie.
Okay, so we had 46 roads that were damaged in the July flood. That was narrowed down to 25 projects because they merged similar roads together to create 25 projects. Of the 25 projects, 16 of the projects have been obligated, which means that $869,481.28 has been approved by FEMA. Of that $869,481.28, we've received $163,000 in-house as of this morning. We got a check for $129,000 electronic funds transfer into the town account. So the balance of $706,000 has been submitted to the state. So I'm waiting for the state paperwork to come to me to sign for that money to come back to us. But that's where we stand right now. We've got 16 projects that have been obligated, which is the 869. 3 projects that are pending the final review, One project is in CRC development, which is South Hill, the South Hill Major Culvert, which I just signed off on last Wednesday. So that's in the final review to be obligated. And then we have 3 projects, Erskine, Felicity, and Young Road are one. The Gilbert Road Major Culvert, which I gave them some more information today that they had questions on. So that one I should be signing off on, I would say, by the end of the week, along with Erskine. I just signed off on Boyce Road this morning. And then there's it's called Martin and Various Roads, which is like 9 roads that are together. That one will get 100%, not the 75% from FEMA. So that one is a Cat C. Carolyn is working on that now, and I'm hoping by the end of next week that'll be in the final review for that one. And then the very last project is called the management costs, which is they take the entire cost of the damages, and it's 5% of that is administrative fees that comes back to the town for the hours that I put in and that Dave puts in on all of the paperwork, all of our FEMA meetings, site visits, all of that. So that'll be the final. Once everything else has been obligated, then the management review will be done, and that's category Z. So that's where we stand right now. We've received $163,000. $869,000 has been obligated right now. So there's another $706,000 that I'm waiting on that's been approved by FEMA to roll through the state channels. Once it goes through Kim's department at the state, then it goes to finance. Finance sends me the paperwork. I sign off on the paperwork if I agree. If they agree with what FEMA says and I agree with what they say and don't have any discrepancies with my figures versus their figures, then that'll get approved. And it's usually a 2-week turnaround time once I sign the paperwork and send it back to the state.
So we get 75% for FEMA and then the state pays portion as well?
They have not, I have not gotten the word that the 17% will come from the state. So 75% is FEMA, 17% is state, and then the balance is what the town has to eat. I have not received any documentation on the 17% from the state yet. I think I don't know if you've heard anything in the Golden Dome, but I have not gotten any documentation on the 17%, but that we won't see that until all of the FEMA money has been obligated on what the percentage will be. But we're in the 17% range because of all of the paperwork, all the I's have been dotted and T's crossed as far as our road standards and all of that we've done. So
we're about halfway there. But the total was plus last stuff you just signed off on, which is 800,000 plus.
Right.
We had 1.6 million to start with.
What's that?
We had a total of about 1.6 million.
1.6, yeah. It may be more like 1.5. But that's where we stand right now.
So we get 75,000 roughly for administrative work.
Well, we guesstimated it at roughly 58,000. We were lowballing it, Carolyn from FEMA and myself. So, but that will be mandatory on the July flood. It's 5%. Now the December flood, we have a meeting on Wednesday with Josephine. She's our rep from FEMA for the December flood. And currently we have Chelsea Road, 2 sites on Graniteville Road, and we're going to look at Brockway Hill tomorrow. And Getz Road was completed right after it took place. So there are five sites. So we're meeting with her. Once I meet with A&R tomorrow at 2:30, about the brook by Zamperis where the water line and the sewer line come down through there, to figure out what the game plan is for that. Then I'll add that to the damage inventory for the Wednesday meeting with Josephine when she comes down to the office. And then we'll move forward with the December flooding. But I'll be putting the RFPs together for Chelsea and the 2 sites on Graniteville and Brockway Hill. So that's where we stand with that right now.
Thank you, Dave. I know you guys put a lot of hours into this. Once everything's all tallied up and reimbursed, town's gonna be in pretty good shape. We've got, these areas like South Hill, Gilbert Road, and all the stuff we did years past on Foot Road is held, large culverts, held it, they never closed. But they kept this flood, and without any damage. But we always have that issue on South Hill. Get the year that starts in, you hear the flooding, very large culverts. Way bigger.
Only thing left from July is a little bit of touch up work on a couple places, guide rails on Gilbert and South Hill. And the July flood will be complete in town. And I think for the amount of damage that we had, not quite a year later to be where we are, it's just totally amazing. Testament to the people in this town.
Yeah, I mean, the FEMA reps are amazed at how much we got done in such a short period of time. So.
We've been through it a few times, so we know how to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I don't want to go through it again.
Hopefully we'll be in good shape next time that happens. These 100-year floods happen about every 10, 15 years. We should be getting hit on that side. It's much worse than troubles and a lot of other people. Start with that.
I was just gonna say, how much does the town have in our actual overall budget? Because I know we spent, I think that was something that Chris probably would ask before. Like, what's our actual reserve for FEMA reimbursing us?
I don't have this. I can get those figures for you. I don't have them.
Just curious, just
right off the top of my head, but we're okay.
As long as we know the money's coming.
No, because we did do the FEMA bond bank for 207. We borrowed 274,000, which we will have to start paying back. I did my first quarter reporting, even though we only got the money at the end of March. I had to, it was for like 4 days. But as the money starts rolling back in, we're going to have to start paying back in $50,000 increments as the money comes in. So, but I mean, we're much better off than a lot of other towns are. And now that the money's starting to, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I'm feeling a little bit more confident about where we are. So.
Okay. Mr. Resignation. We have a resignation from
Kirk Strasburger.
Kirk Strasburger, resigned from the Mr. position. We have one person that has shown interest at being listed as William Graham. Sent a letter in.
Nope, he's the only one that we received one from.
We're definitely desperate in the need of listers. Sure, how many down now?
This will make us even.
Yeah, this will put us at the three.
We're down to,
well, he didn't get he didn't get his petition in, so he had to be appointed. Bill Peabody appointed him at the last meeting, so.
It's that time of year, so we need to get somebody in there. So we wouldn't want to make a motion and wait.
Except Kirk's first.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have any choice, but we need a motion to accept resignation of Chris Johnson as assistant.
Make a motion.
Second, made second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to appoint William Graham as a lister?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? I'll have a lister. Questions, is that what you're doing with that?
We have, yeah, you got them? Okay.
I don't have the legally, but we do have, the hub has submitted all three of their licenses, their regular liquor consumption, class three. First class,
First, third, and outside.
and we have received payment, so we just need the okay. And I'll push that button tomorrow, and they'll be on the way to the licenses.
I think there's more than one license here.
Yeah, there should be all
There's three.
So we need a motion to approve 3 liquor licenses for the pub. Okay. Motion made, seconded, any discussion?
I have not received Dollar General, I have not received Rockside. They have until June 30th. That's the deadline, that's the funding and everything. But, so basically, by next month's board meeting, if they want, but yours is until August, correct, Rockside? So you have plenty of
It'll be
time.
done before then anyway, but I'll put it on for business manager.
Dollar General, I know Jane has asked me, like, it comes from corporate, so I mean, somebody's gotta push a button with DLC. So I'm just waiting on those of you to left. For the year. Ben's all set. The Den, of course, got theirs in September, so theirs will be
ARPA funding update.
Okay, if you look at page 2 of the spreadsheet that I gave you, so when I did my annual reporting for ARPA and was discussing it with the representative that assists with the reporting, she said that the feds are getting a little antsy and they're starting to pull back in the rope. If you don't have stuff obligated, they're really starting to come down on towns. And if your projects are not going to be completed by December 31st of 2026, they will revoke the money. So we know at this point that there's no way we're going to get a town garage built by December 31st of 2026, unfortunately. And we had a total of $448,000 in the town garage fund from ARPA. We you approved earlier today, you approved $4,555, which was the survey for the town garage lot. That was part of it. So there's currently $443,445 sitting in the ARPA fund for the town garage. That being the case, there are other projects in town that qualify under ARPA that really need to be taken care of. And the list starts with the Mountain View booster pump station, the hydro pneumatic tank is failing, and we've been working with Aldrich and Elliott, the engineering firm, and the price for that is $65,000. The water tower generator, you'd approved $80,000 within that $200,000 for the water tower High Street, which is up at the top, second column in from the left. But because the low bidder that you approved for High Street bailed on us, we had to go with the second bidder. That increased the cost. So out of that $200,000, $185,000 has been spent, and only $10,000 of that was the down payment on the generator for the water tower. So I'm looking for $68,445 for that generator that's being installed this month. And then we got a price for paving High Street because it was a water sewer project up there. ARPA will pay for the repaving of that street. And that price came in at $46,000. And then last Wednesday, I met with Brookfield Services to get a price for the town office to have a generator, because we've never had one and we really, really need one. The way the power's been going off on us for the last year, it seems to be getting worse and worse. So the town office generator installed would be $21,930. And then the Mountain View pump station generator, that's for water to Mountain View. When the power goes out, they don't have any water up there. So that would be $28,234 installed through Brookfield Services. And then the final one is we can pursue the town garage design and have it shovel ready. So if I've already contacted Peter Welch's office in regards to possible grant money towards a new town garage, or if we, go for a bond vote or whatever, we would have the design. It's all the architectural, mechanical. It's everything but the civil, which is most of the civil's already been taken care of under the survey, and the town water and sewer's already there, and the electrical. So, and I reached out to Breadloaf and I reached out to Black River. Black River did this building, and Breadloaf has done multiple town garages in the area. We'd reached out to them a couple of years ago. They can't do it. They're swamped, but Black River can pull together the design for us, and that would be between $175,000 and $200,000 to have it shovel ready. So that brings those 6 projects come to $429,609, which is I'm hoping that you will allocate the ARPA money for. We'll get the garage design completed. We'll get a generator for the town office, generator for the pump station, generator for the water tower, get the hydro pneumatic tank replaced at Mountain View, and pave High Street so that project up there will be complete.
I know from past experience, having a project shovel ready is very important. We also offer these grant programs. And they don't have stuff ready, so they have to spend money not ready for it. Garage plans done for us, so we're going to go. But we're in a position to apply for these grants and get them. This one garage is really popular. If you get it one more time, we'll do it. There's a few spots that these guys are now, but it'll last a few more years, but we get stuff ready, we have, but I think it's a good idea to spend some of that money to get it ready.
Yeah. All these, everything here needs to be done.
Yeah, the only thing I would say for the town garage is, make sure, like Dave was saying, town's growing. So whatever, is it Bread Loaf is doing the work?
Black River.
Black River, sorry. Just make sure that,
Yeah.
we're anticipating it to be there for what the expectations, whatever Dave or whoever, think 20 years ahead.
Right.
I would assume we rent to second grader now, right? But maybe, as long as maybe anticipating at the time, I know 2 graders.
Yeah.
At some point.
Well,
That's
the goal is just to keep a portion of the current one for cold storage and then build a 6 bay. That's kind of the way we're leaning with it. Because initially, a couple of years ago, we talked about an 8 bay, but we can save.
That being said, when I was talking to you earlier about replacing or adding trucks, right now, if we were to buy a 10-wheeler and add that 10-wheeler to our fleet, we cannot park it inside the building with a snowplow on it. We don't have a space large enough to park it inside with a plow on it right now.
Everybody to run it? Do we have enough people to run it?
What we do is we would switch. We would take one of the 6-wheelers and move it over to where the little truck route is. Put the 10-wheeler on one of the bigger routes.
Oh, you're talking about bodies.
Yeah.
He's talking about bodies. Working on it.
Somebody has stepped up to take over plowing duties here in town.
Yeah, I mean, just that's exactly that. Equipment changes too. Like I worked in a firehouse that had horses in it in Burlington, and now it holds a 750 gallon fire engine. So a lot of things had to be redone for wood distribution to make sure if you think trucks are going to get bigger or whatever.
That is, we've got Route 14 in Brockway Hill, $150,000 was allocated for those galvanized lines, and the RFPs are going out the end of this week for those. So that money's been allocated, and those projects will be taken care of. There's still money at the 3-acre stormwater, money that we put in for that, but I did get the 2 $49,000 grants for that. Williamstown Youth Sports, they approved the check tonight. Survey's been done for the town garage. High Street, the water, all of that project has been completed up there except for the paving. So that money's been spent. The rec has spent all of theirs, but $11,000 for lighting, which we're working on that right now. So, yeah, that'll be all. That'll take care of all of it but roughly $13,000, which can be moved into another project if it needs to be. Like if that could go into the 3-acre stormwater, because we know that's going to be more than what was allocated anyway. Just because that was just basically for engineering for the projects, but yep.
Can that 13,000 be used towards repairs of the building?
I would have to check on that.
I mean, if you're gonna wait another couple of years anyway before you,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go out and grease the truck out there and get wet every time it rains.
Yeah.
So
That's something I can ask Katie about that to see if that could be used for town garage repairs.
we're gonna have to do something. Can't leave it the way it is.
Oh, he asked if the 13,000 could be put towards repairs to one of the town buildings. I said, that's a question I have to ask Katie. I don't know if that would qualify under it.
I just had a quick question on the town garage. are you guys putting a shop bay in there? Or are those just storage bays that you're putting in for the trucks?
Both, it would be a shop bay, it would be a shop bay, workshop bays and storage for the trucks.
So if we do the work bay, are we gonna have a mechanic again, or what would be the plan on that? I'm just
That's us.
curious.
Oh, that's what you got.
Okay, that's what I figured, but I know they had one before, so I didn't know.
I don't see that in the cards.
Yep. Makes sense.
We have more of it now.
Yep.
Either shop here.
New stuff is so high tech, you can't work on it anyway.
That was my point, was is it worth getting a mechanic with all the computer shit they gotta deal with? I don't wanna do it.
It's fine enough to do it, Stefan.
Yeah.
So, you're looking for a motion from the board to reallocate as is proposed?
Mm-hmm. Please?
I'll make that motion to reallocate that. That's it.
Second? Second. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Next item is June 1 benefit of the cloud request to Cloverdale Beckett Street, 11 a.m. to.
So-
Motion on that.
What's that?
I have a motion on it.
Yes.
We can discuss it. Motion on that.
I make a motion to accept it.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, any discussion?
So there's a family, actually from Chelsea. The husband passed away unexpectedly a couple weeks ago, and this is a benefit that they're having for his spouse and son to raise money to help to assist them. Lindsay reached out to me. I happen to know the family very well, so I'm hoping.
When we're speaking, as long as the fire department and was notified.
Yeah, I'll notify them, and the surrounding businesses are okay with it.
That was all I was gonna say, just make sure emergency services is aware.
Yeah.
They have to get through, just have a plan for whatever that is.
Yeah.
So they've always done a good job with that.
Yeah, they've had several there benefits in the past, so.
You all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, employee vacation time, this goes back, a lot of it goes back to the flood. And the flood happened in July 10th. And everybody was working real through, farm manager, everybody involved with towns, you know, on the vacations. We're going up to the end of the budget year. I will take some time to pay the difference. And really not in a position to make them take the time. Jackie's still working with FEMA. All spring work to do. And got to get Falls Bridge Road and all these other projects taken care of. So.
Can I ask Dave a question?
Yes.
What's the consensus of the road crew?
I got two longtime employees that get 4 weeks a year vacation, each one, and they have been able to take a week each since July. So they still have 3 weeks each to take. Years ago, the town let you carry a week over year to year. They did away with that. They would rather go back to doing that, but it just doesn't make financial sense to do that. But they would be willing to get paid for 1 week and try to use the other 2 weeks between now and July 1st. That would be acceptable to them.
Well, we had it all planned that I was going to take Thursdays and Fridays off each week until June 14th, when I would have all my vacation taken up, because I meet with FEMA on Tuesdays and I meet with FEMA on Wednesday for the December and the July flood. I have 2 separate reps. It was brought to my attention that a few town residents didn't feel that that was right, that I was taking 2 vacation days a week off, that if you could run a town manager 3 days a week, then you don't need a town manager for a full week. Well, what the hell's the difference if I take 2 weeks off in a row straight, or if I take 2 days a week so I have 57 hours left as of today of vacation time that I have not taken. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have a staff assistant after next week. So it's going to be kind of hard for me to continue taking. Megan's given her notice. And I've accepted it under protest, but but it is what it is. So so I'm asking for the 57 hours to be paid instead of me taking it.
Yeah, how come for this 1 year, considering everything that the whole town and the road crew's been through, could you guys make an exception that, I think you said they have 3 weeks left? They pay them for a week this year and allow them to carry, the other 2 weeks over, or in Jackie's case, or what was it, 58 hours or whatever?
7, yeah.
Like, is that a possibility rather than having to pay all the money out?
We want to do it. The only thing it's going to do is override the budget that we had for in that. But like, we're going to have some extra money from FEMA for administration stuff. They Jackie all their time, so they're pretty much covered. So that would more than cover them. But all we've been through, if we go over budget, I think people would understand.
That was my thought, but.
Yeah.
These guys either deserve the money or deserve the time.
And
I agree.
And historically, because all of us carried over a week at one point or another, but with the road crew, it seems that they were carrying over a week and they still had 4 weeks. Now they have 5 weeks the next year. And it just got harder and harder for them to actually take it,
No, I get that. I didn't know if just for
Yeah, right.
I know what we do with our business. Set budgets. Sick day, we have 5 and 6 days. Being sick, pick it up, whatever. We give them at Christmas time, whatever hours they haven't used. Christmas bonus, like that. Something to think about down the road. Situation, so many days a week, summer, you can get work done. Somebody's got to take off. Just man down all the time.
They get 4 weeks of vacation and 24 hours of 36 and 24. 24 hours a year personal. And I fight with them every year to take the vacation, like, try to plan tell them, look, we're doing this week. After that, you got a week, you know, and I just couldn't do that last summer because I couldn't have them out.
Still shut down.
We don't shut down.
No, we don't sit down anymore.
Yeah, but the town, if a tree fell down, I'd have to go cut it anyway, so you can't shut down on-call people.
It's a good way to use it. After the 4th of July. That way everybody can plan on their camping trip early. You know, some years it's hard to depend on what job you're on, but most of the time it works really well. Just, 4th of July ends up being on a Tuesday or Wednesday during the weeks.
Unfortunately, we have a roadside mower for the month of July, and I have to have somebody on that every day, sometimes even weekends, to get everything mowed for the month. But I understand what you're saying.
So what you're looking for the road crew is to take 1 week?
They would accept being paid 1 week and work on taking the other 2 weeks off. But I'm sure they would take 2 weeks of that, you know, I didn't give them that option. I mean, we have basically. We have basically the month of June and the rest of May to try to accommodate 6 weeks vacation and a few personal days. So if you offered to pay them for 2 weeks and they could take a week off, you know, they still could get a week off. I can plan that. I think Joe has one scheduled for, it might even be next week. So, you know, that would help me. And I don't see why they would not accept that, but.
Force it on, but I mean, if they want to.
Right, if they want to get paid for 2 weeks, that would be.
Town's best interest to keep you guys working.
And it would benefit me because right now I'm short man anyways, and trying to get the projects done that we got going is, you know.
So are we looking at a motion to approve this or just?
Motion to either let them take time off or pay them what they told them for vacation time, I guess.
Either or would contract.
That sounds about right. So the next motion we can discuss it. Discussion, it's more if we need to, or we can vote on it.
I make a motion to approve the change under the circumstances that the town crew or employees that need to take up their vacation time up to 2 weeks paid of it and then use the remainder between that time.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good job. Okay, now on to old business, on the fire truck refurbishment project. After checking with town attorney, the way the article is written, or not necessarily the way it's actually written, but the article, I guess, he suggested that we get about going that route and
So in your package, you had a schedule for a $225,000 loan for a 3-year period.
M&T Bank?
Yes. And the interest rate's 5.5%. So normally municipal loans are not a monthly payment. They're once a year. There's a principal payment paid and an interest payment paid. So this would be for a 3-year at $75,000 principal payment at 5.5%, and then it gives you the breakdown of what the interest would be for each year. So July 1 of 2025, principal payment would be due 5.5% with interest of $12,203.13. July 1st, 2026 would be $75,000 principal payment with an interest payment of $8,250. And July 1st, 2027, $75,000 payment with interest of $4,125. So the total loan for the 3-year period would be $249,578.13. The reserve account, we had set it up this year. There's $100,000 going in as of July 1 into the fire truck replacement. And then we had discussed each year after that bumping it up until it was, so next year it would be 125, and then the next year would be 150, and then it would be staying at the $150,000 installment appropriation into the reserve account. So that would cover the $225,000 loan plus what's in there right now would cover the additional $100,000 that would go towards the refurb because it's $325,000. So that's what we're looking at, is borrowing the money, if approved tonight, from M&T.
Same exact deal we had proposed, borrowing the money out of the ambulance fund. The difference is the ambulance fund was making 2.5% interest on the money, which we would have paid. Instead we're paying 5%, so it's costing down an extra $13,328. Unless we go back out and re-vote on it to reallocate the funds. And this way we have it over there. If they've already put a deposit down on the frame, we can do repair and funds. Fix the truck or buy a new one, that's gonna it's the same thing we approved last week, except it's gonna cost a little bit more for interest. Our last one. So we need a motion to go with M&T Bank to borrow the money as proposed.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Motion being seconded, any further discussion?
So I was approached by a member of the fire department that said the fire chief had told them that they had to cut $12,000 out of the refurb project because of having to do the bank loan.
That did not come from my office.
I was told it did.
No. I told William that it was going to cost an additional $12,000 in interest with going with a conventional loan instead of borrowing it out of the end, but not that they had to cut it.
And that's what I told
No, I told him on Thursday morning when I talked to him that go forth with it, and the board's going to discuss the loan tonight, but no, I would never say anything like that.
So, any other discussion?
So I looked back at just what the fire department had originally proposed. So you're saying, and maybe this was a discussion between you and William, this year we have $100,000 going into the fire truck reserve.
Correct.
Going to 125,000, then 150,000.
Correct.
Continuing from there on.
Correct.
Okay. Because that was my only concern, is doing the math. The $225,000 loan is at the low end of what the expectation is now.
Yeah.
I don't know if all the men up here or anyone's worked on a vehicle in this room, but you usually pull something apart and realize really fast that the thing that you went wrong. So I just, and, you know, obviously I was kind of about not using the reserve fund. One thing the lawyer did suggest, and not right now, but the money can be revoted by the public to be utilized for this project if they so feel it. So it could be a special election, which he did not recommend at this current time,
Right.
because it's a hot button issue. And historically, and I'm sure, I mean, Barb might be able to go back or we can figure it out. When the town bought the red ambulance, so I'm guessing that's early 2000s, that probably was before I was in college or around college time, I believe the town borrowed $100,000 out of the fire truck reserve fund.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have any record of that, but, you know, maybe going forward to the next town meeting, utilizing, going to the voters and saying, taking $100,000 out of the ambulance reserve to essentially pay back what was borrowed, because I don't think that money ever made it back to the fire department. I don't know historically if it has or if it hasn't.
I think it did.
I had heard that it never did. So I don't know if it did or did not, but that's the question. Did that money ever make it back to the fire department?
I was under, because that was before my time, but I was under the understanding that it was paid back to the fire truck.
So I'm just saying that might
You don't remember either?
I gotta believe that the fire department is looking for that money back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was.
Well, I'm just suggesting that maybe we look back and verify that, because at least the hearsay is it never made it back. And that might be more palpable for the taxpayers to say, hey, the ambulance borrowed this money 24 years ago, and it never actually made it back to the fire department. So essentially this is just paying back the fire department for, you know, town meeting day. I would assume that's probably the smartest time to do it.
Yeah.
It can, if that money ever gets to be utilized for, because it can either be used to pay for an ambulance, or the voters can decide to do with it how they see fit. Can we pay this loan off earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's
Yeah,
no
no,
penalty.
this is just the payment plan to pay it back over a 3 year.
I just want to make sure there's no penalty for like a normal loan.
There's no penalty for early payment.
Okay.
I think it's against the law, you know.
Okay. I've never had a loan that said it, but I know that. I've heard that.
No.
But I just want to make sure we have enough money, and, you know, talking to the fire chief today, just making sure we don't deplete the major repairs fund, because I know engine 3 right now, I think he said the kingpins are gone on the front end of engine 3, so we don't, that's his concern, is just
No,
making
this
sure we don't
is
deplete
this
that
is
fund.
the truck replacement reserve, not the major repairs.
Okay.
That money, because originally he had come when we were doing the budget last fall. They'd put in $150,000, and we discussed it and we cut it back. So it was $100,000 this year, 125 next year, 150 next year, to build it up that way instead of hitting it all with 110,000. Yeah.
But we didn't get into that equipment repair account at all in that last proposal. It was just.
Well, I think it was, but the forks were taken out of the major repair at this point, correct?
The 10,000 was, yeah.
The 10,000? I thought it was 20,000.
No, it was a $10,000 deposit to, wasn't it a $10,000?
No, it was
20,000 to Brookie,
It's
yeah.
roughly 41,000. And that's, just talking to the fire chief, that's his concern, is that because he can't, that's, I think, the gray area with this, because engine 1's a refurb, so it's not technically a truck replace. So we could utilize the major repairs, because it is a major repair to a truck.
Yeah, but the agreement was to take it out of the replacement for the rebuild.
You have to work like the best way we can. You can't afford $1 million for a good job.
No, I agree.
I mean, we did a similar thing, if I remember right. I was on the board meeting, but I'm sure they heard him talk about it on the ladder truck. Use some of those funds to upgrade that.
Yeah.
Should be fun. I mean, next town meeting, we put it on the agenda, we could take that money out of that fund if they okay it, pay this loan off. Saves some interest.
And I know I was the dissenting vote last time, and my biggest thing was the town had an opinion with it, and my personal opinion is whatever the town decides for that money, I'm fine with, and I have no problem. You're not gonna hear me say anything negative if the board wants to try to do that. I just felt that the town allocated that money for a specific purpose, so if it goes back to the town, it's the will of the people. So, because I agree with Larry, fiscally it makes the most sense. I mean, I can't sit up here and say it's better for us to pay 5.5% to a bank versus paying 5.5% back to ourselves. But again, I think historically, and that's the hearsay, is funds have been pulled out of certain accounts. And has that money ever been made back? And I think, maybe we can try to do some research, at least on the red ambulance, because that has specific to the fire department. Because again, if that money never made it back to the fire department, we can say, hey, in 2004, the ambulance actually owed the fire department $100,000. So we can get $100,000 out of that money. And I think that's kind of a win-win for both situations.
Right. Okay, we'll do some research, but I was.
All I remember about the red ambulance is every time I was on the ambulance that time, every time you shut it off at the hospital, it was stuck there. We had to call
all the way down.
We had to roll the wrecker, road wrecker to come and.
That truck was,
That was the red one.
that's why it was red.
I remember the white one doing that. That's why we got the red.
Well, the red one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to take the vote. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, now we, recess for executive session. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. That's all we can do.